on to daily lessons on page 134. So this one again is an old calculus problem from one of the old AP exams. And we've got, this is about an object and about position. And again, this is 2002, so 14 years ago. What they're going to be asking is a lot of procedural stuff. Do you know this, do you not? Okay, so an object moves along the x-axis with an initial position of x of 0 equals 2. X of 0, kind of lame. We are used to using p of t or s of t, but x of 0, we're going to go with it. So I've got this initial position, and the velocity of the object at time t is greater than or equal to 0 is given by this function, p of t. What is the acceleration at time t equals 4? So in this one, we're talking about acceleration. So if I am given velocity, though, the way I know about acceleration, so the acceleration at time 4 is the same as the derivative of velocity at time 4. So if you're looking at velocity, that means velocity is given by this function. I need to find the derivative of velocity. So the derivative of velocity is, and this one, it doesn't really look like it, but there's a function within a function. Wow. So you should be thinking, function within a function, chain rule. The derivative of sine is cosine. Then to the inside, we leave it alone. So we've got cosine pi over 3 t times the derivative of the inside. The derivative of the inside then is just pi over 3. It looks weird, but it's just a coefficient. So I'm going to multiply it by pi over 3. Okay, next part, I need to figure out, well, what is the derivative, or what is the acceleration at 4? So the acceleration at 4 is going to be the derivative at 4. You don't have to write this multiple times. You could have just written up here, but I just want to make sure you understand. At time 4 would be cosine of pi over 3 times 4 times pi over 3. And I know those of you who love trig values, you know, you can do some work on this one, but this would be the same thing as cosine of 4 pi over 3 times pi over 3. Remember, all students take calculus, or at least the cool ones do. Pi over 3 would be my reference angle, so I really want the cosine of pi over 3, but if I have 4 pi over 3, here's 0, and here's pi, 4 pi over 3 is going to be in this quadrant, so I know my answer right here is going to be negative something. And if you know cosine of pi over 3, did I say that right? Cosine of pi over 3 is going to be negative 1/2. Again, we said it was negative. Hopefully you stopped the video if you needed to take some time and figure out that this is 1/2 times pi over 3. I'm going to simplify this to get negative pi over 6. So the acceleration at time t equals 4 is negative pi over 6. And I hope that you're thinking right now, man, I need to have units. Which, yes, you do in 2016. When you take this exam, you will need to have units. They will not give you a problem without units. In 2002, it kind of lacks. So negative pi over 6, totally acceptable because they don't really give you anything else. Okay, consider the following two statements. So I've got from 3 to 4.5, so on this open interval, the velocity of the object is decreasing. And then I also know the speed of the object is decreasing. So it says, are either or both of these statements correct? So I'm using up here, using above. But I want to think about this. So velocity of the object is decreasing. Velocity was the function that I was given. So I want to be thinking about this in terms of, this is my initial function. If I take the derivative of that, or a of t, or b prime of t, that's what it's going to tell me if a function is increasing or decreasing. So in order for it to be decreasing, that means v prime has to be negative. That's it. But but it has to be over this entire interval from 3 to 4.5. So what I'm going to say is it? So v prime of t is less than 0, and does it go from 3 to 4.5? Well, I hope that you're thinking, I can make a chart, because it's a good way to go. So what I would do is I need to figure out where is v prime of t equal to 0. So I'm going to say 0 is equal to pi over 3 times cosine pi over 3t. Okay, so I'm going to get that pi over 3 out of there first, because I can divide on both sides. I get 0 is equal to cosine pi over 3t. So this is where we're going to kind of go off a little bit, because we're going to think about, okay, well, when is just cosine of x or cosine of theta equal to 0? When does that happen? Okay, so if you think about, again, the way I think about it is through a chart. You could be thinking about it lots of different ways. As long as you're correct, I don't care. So I can see it is going to be, if this is 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi. It's going to be 0 right here and here. So at pi over 2, so at x equals pi over 2, and at x equals 3 pi over 2. But in this problem, I can't just say that t is pi over 2 and t is 3 pi over 2, because that's not what's happening. It's pi over 3 times t. So what I need to do is set pi over 3 t equal to pi over 2. Multiply. So I've got, I multiply both sides by 3 over pi. That goes away, I get 3 over 2. So right now, I know v prime of t is equal to 0 at 3 over 2, which 3 over 2 is not in this interval, so I don't really care about it, because this is only talking about from 3 to 4.5, so I don't really care about this anyway. Maybe the next one will be more valuable. So I've got pi over 3t equal to 3 pi over 2. So we did this value of x, we need to do this one. Again, multiply it by reciprocal, so 3 over pi. Those go away. I get t is equal to, the pi's go away, 9 over 2. 9 over 2 is the same as 4.5, which is on the very end of this. And this seems like a ton of work, but you're showing that the velocity isn't, or v prime of t, isn't changing signs. It's going to be the same sign from 3 to 4.5. So because I know right now that I've got values of t from 3 to 4.5, I showed all this work. So I don't have to do anything else with this. V prime of t, I just want to know, is this number going to be positive or negative? So from 3 to 4.5, I need to pick some number in between them. I'm going to pick 4. If I pick 4, and I plug it back into v prime of t to figure out whether this is positive or negative. So I'm going to take 4, again, v prime of 4, and figure out pi over 3 times cosine pi over 3 times 4. Okay, because many of you love this, I know, take a second and stop this video and try to figure out what is this value, and is it going to be positive or negative? And you can stop now. As I'm looking here, I find that this is the value of negative pi over 6. So negative. So right now, I know that v prime of t is negative. So my explanation, so as v prime of t is less than 0 on the interval, from 3 to 4.5, velocity is decreasing Therefore, statement 1 is correct. Okay, so all of that to say, yes, statement 1, we're good with that one. The second one, then, if the speed of the object is decreasing. Now remember what that means. The speed of the object is decreasing. That means, as soon as we're talking about speed, that means velocity and acceleration have different signs. Meaning one's positive, one's negative. So if I'm talking about from 3 to 4.5, so what I need to know is if this object is decreasing, v of t, a of t of different signs. I already know v prime of t is always negative. V prime of t is the same thing as a of t. So I can say v prime of or v prime of t equals a of t is less than 0. That's a terrible way to write that, but I'm running out of room. Is less than 0